Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 195.
On Now You Know.
Brought to you as always by our Patreon patrons. Your support is critical for the work we do. Head over to patreon.com/nowyouknow and check out our exclusive Patreon bonus stories every week for just $1 a month.
And as Amazon associates, we earn from qualifying purchases. The link is down below.
And we're brought to you by Battery Hookup, the best place for all your DIY lithium battery needs. Don't get ripped off, get hooked up. Now You Know viewers get 10% off by using the code NOW at batteryhookup.com.
So the Model S, X, and 3 have gotten a price cut.
Yes, the Model S and X got slashed by $5,000. Now a Model S Long Range Plus starts at $74,990.
And a Model X starts at $79,990.
And the Model 3 got a $2,000 price cut. You can now get a Standard Range Plus for just $37,990.
So why is Tesla giving these big price cuts?
Now, the conventional wisdom would tell us that it's because of end-of-quarter sales. They want to try and clinch as many sales as they can by the end of the quarter to make their numbers look good for this quarter. But we don't necessarily think that that is exactly what's going on. I think that there might be something bigger than that.
Yeah, I think that many people have this inkling that Battery Day may have some effect on what will be in the upcoming S and X cars, some kind of refresh. And if that's true, I think Tesla needs to be able to differentiate between the 18650 cells, which are currently in the cars, and whatever this newer tech is going to be in the cars. So picture this, right? You just bought a new Model X, and then Battery Day comes in June, and Elon maybe announces that the new Model S and X will have some great new battery, million-mile battery in it. And you're like, aw, I just bought a Model X.
Right. What we're conjecturing to happen would be that the price would increase at the same time that you'd be getting this much better battery pack, so that people who just bought their Model S or Model X wouldn't feel so bad to have, I guess, an inferior car. They would have paid less for it, so there wouldn't be as much controversy.
And let's remind everyone, the problem is that traditional car companies have these model years, right? Mm-hmm. And so everyone's like, I'm going to wait till the 2021 model is out, and then you kind of know what you're getting. Whereas with Tesla, anything can change at any moment, and it could be a software change, it could be a hardware change, you don't know. And so that can be great, but also it means that you get a lot of kind of disappointed buyers who are like, oh, if I had just known, I would have waited.
There are disadvantages to having the model years as well with other cars. Typically, there aren't that many improvements from model year to model year. Usually there's a big jump at one point, and there'll be some model years where the head gasket has a problem in the 2016, and you're just like, so I think that there's always going to be issues when you're changing your product. Tesla doesn't just sell hammers. This is really, really high-tech stuff, and they're making incredible strides. And I think it's very easy to get bogged down into this sense of like, well, but I got it a little while ago, and it's not as good anymore. And for anyone who's bought like a smartphone, yeah, that basically stuff is constantly improving, and what you bought, just because it's a car, doesn't mean it's going to, keep up.
And Tesla has also removed the free supercharging as a perk for the Model S and X. Elon Musk said, sorry, it's not really sustainable at volume production and doesn't incentivize optimal behavior. We probably should have ended this earlier.
Now, this isn't the first time that they've ended free supercharging. They got rid of it, and then they brought it back. I don't know why. I don't think that it was ever truly necessary outside of Model S and X sales in the very beginning. Now with the Model 3 sales, it was one of these things to further incentivize you to maybe get a Model S or X. Maybe this points to Model S and X getting a refresh to the point where no longer is the Model 3 the most attractive car that Tesla sells.
Yeah, I mean, we just took a long road trip down to North Carolina, and a 12-hour trip, and I think our total supercharging costs about $30.
Right, which is pretty impressive considering it would have easily cost us $80, $100, $120, depending on what we were driving down if it were a gas car.
And so the only way to get free supercharging now would be to buy an existing car from the Tesla inventory or to buy a used car that has it for life. New buyers can also get 1,000 miles of free supercharging by using a referral code. And we have a referral code down in the show notes if you'd like to use it.
Right. And the other way to get free supercharging miles is to use your referral code to have someone else buy a car. And then you'll get free supercharger miles. And I mean, I think that keeps a nice incentive structure for the referral program. You know, you convince one of your friends to buy a Tesla, they use your referral code, you get 1,000 miles of free supercharging. It's roughly in the $40-$50 worth of supercharging. And it just feels good to be like, oh, I have some free supercharger miles. Let me go, you know, on an adventure or a little trip for free. The funny thing here is that Tesla's been doing this for years and people have hardly batted an eye at it, which is so funny because if tomorrow, you know, BMW sold a car and it was going to be free gas, they'd give you this platinum card and you just go into any gas station and buy as much gas as you wanted. People would freak out about it. It would be the talk of the town. Tesla does this and everyone's like, whatever.
So we've been talking about the Demo 2 NASA mission for a while. This is the Dragon crew mission going to the ISS, and Wednesday's launch was scrubbed due to weather concerns, but the Demo 2 mission to launch Bob and Doug to the ISS did take place successfully on Saturday.
The International Space Station and Dragon are now going around the Earth every 90 minutes. This historic mission is the first time in 9 years that astronauts have been launched from the United States to the ISS, and wow. I want to congratulate everyone who was even remotely involved. To Bob and Doug, congratulations. To everyone on the SpaceX team, everyone at NASA.
Yeah, I mean, thousands of engineers made this possible.
I would say, you know, pat yourself on the back, but you know what? Go find someone who you're with and tell them to pat you on the back. Because I can't be there to do it. I owe them a pat on the back. I understand the back patting that I am incurring, the debt that I'm incurring, but have them go pat you on the back because congratulations and thank you so much for such an inspiring day. Like what a momentous thing to have happened. And
well, you know what was cool is, you know, normally we're used to these launches where you're just hearing from ground control, and then all of a sudden, every now and then you'd hear from Bob or Doug saying something, and you're like, wait, who
said that? Right. Why did it sound, like it wasn't coming from the feed? Because it was coming from the atmosphere, and I can't wait for more launches like this to happen.
Oh, it won't be long. Just about a month after this one lands, there's going to be another launch of 3 astronauts up to the ISS, so it's just going to keep happening. It's so exciting.
That is so awesome.
So according to Clean Technica, Q1 of 2020, the number one selling car in California was, drum roll please,
the Toyota Corolla.
Nope.
The Honda Civic.
Nope.
The Honda Accord.
Those are all great guesses because normally those are the number ones. But this quarter, it was the Tesla Model 3, outselling the Civic, the Camry, the Corolla, and the Accord with 18,856 cars sold.
That's amazing.
Well, let's not stop there. And in the near luxury market in California, the number one car sold was the Model 3, handily beating the BMW and Lexus.
Combined. And the Mercedes C-Class and
combined.
The Audi A4. I mean, it just clobbered them.
But let's look at top-selling subcompact cars in California for Q1, and the number one was the Chevy Bolt. Now, keep in mind, Tesla doesn't make a subcompact, but it's great to see that an EV was the number one in that category. And in the top-selling luxury and high-end sports cars in California, the Model S was number 3. And in the mid-size luxury SUVs in California, the Model X was number 3. Now, I would argue that it's large. So if you stuck it in the large category, this is the chart you would see, which is that it would be number 1. So overall, Tesla accounted for 4.6% of California's vehicle registrations in the first quarter of 2020.
That's really, really strong. I remember when we were talking one quarter about like a smaller number than that being total EV sales.
Yeah.
So that's incredibly impressive.
Yes, it is.
And this is just the beginning because the Model Y hasn't even fully ramped up yet.
Now, speaking of the Model Y, last week as Tesla reopened Fremont, we reported that Tesla was estimating 8 to 12 weeks delivery time for the Model Y. Now on Tesla's website, it shows only a 4 to 8 week wait for the Model Y.
So is this because of reduced order volume or because Tesla improved production line efficiency of the Model Y at Fremont? Or is Tesla just back into its stride?
I think it's all three, to be honest. I mean, I do think that some people probably did cancel their orders because of the worldwide pandemic. You know, maybe you lost your job. Maybe there's some circumstance issues. I do think that while the downtime was going on, Tesla was probably improving the line to make it more efficient. And I do think that now everything's back up and running. They're making a lot of cars every week.
That's awesome.
You know what else is awesome?
What?
Check this out. This is going to be the BMW M5 all electric.
Wow.
It'll be a honking 135 kilowatt hour battery pack with a 400 volt battery system. and it'll later get upgraded to an 800-volt system capable of 350 kilowatt charging. It'll have a WLTP reported range of 435 miles. There'll be one 250 kilowatt electric motor in the front and two more in the back that would give it, get this, a torque vectored output of over 1,000 horsepower.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome. Let me get my wallet. I am ready to buy one.
Well, you don't need it right now.
Well, yes. Yeah, I do.
Well, it's not coming out right now.
Well, okay. So in a month, then...
No.
Okay, next year.
No.
The year after that?
Nope.
The year after that?
No. 2024.
2024?
Yeah. That's when the earliest it'll come out.
I want to be old by then.
So Audi's new CEO, Markus Duesmann, is talking about a new group at Audi called Artemis and their plans for a new electric car. Let's go check it out. Hello, everybody. I am Markus Duesmann. We're today announcing a new team group, Artemis, and we plan to develop an efficient electric car.
Hi there, Mr. Duesman. Just from Now You Know here. So does that mean that other electric cars are not efficient? I thought that Tesla had the most efficient electric cars.
Ours will be very efficient. You'll see. The goal for us here at Audi is to develop a pioneering model for Audi quickly and unbureaucratically.
Yeah, Jesse here again from Now You Know. It sounds like most other projects are done bureaucratically then?
Well, I can't answer that directly until we have a roundtable meeting with our head of marketing and public relations. We have that meeting every other week, except during odd weeks when the head of each department holds an inter-team meeting. So I'll have to get back to you on that. We will be developing, though, a highly efficient electric car that is scheduled to be on the road as early as 2024.
I'm sorry, did you say 2024?
Yes, very fast. Impressive, huh? You see, we can be as quick as Tesla. The only problem is, you see, VW Group has 29 planned electric models by 2029, so we don't always get to use the conference room. Also, those guys always eat most of the donuts, which is not fair. Audi engineers need donuts too, you know.
I'm sorry, so Mr. Duesman, let me just reiterate here. So you're creating a group called Artemis, and you want to have a car out by 2024.
Yeah.
Okay, and you think that you're going to be able to compete with Tesla in the year 2024 with what they will have in the year 2024, not what they're currently selling?
Oh yeah, we're good. Tesla killer. Tesla killer. Mark my words.
Okay, so that was an interesting press conference. You know, that Duesman guy, he looks a lot like you.
Does he?
Yeah, it's almost uncanny.
So Elon gets his first real Tesla paycheck.
But wait a minute, how long has Elon been working for Tesla?
Since the beginning.
So wasn't that back like in 2011?
Even earlier. It's been over a decade.
Okay, so what is this, the worst HR mishap in history? Oh, sorry, Mr. Musk. Yeah, I'm working on it, but we lost the paperwork.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that Elon doesn't get a salary.
Okay,
well, he does. He gets $1 a year.
But he's a billionaire. How is that even possible?
He's got a lot of money in stock. He owns over 20% of the company.
He owns 20% of Tesla?
Yes.
Of the stock?
Yes.
So of all the outstanding shares of Tesla, he owns 20% of it?
Over 20%, yeah.
Okay, so that's why he's a billionaire?
Yes.
He doesn't just have
he bought,
billions of dollars.
Actually, I mean, from the reports we've read, he actually borrows against his stock for most things he needs to buy, like cars and houses.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is smart, by the way, being long on Tesla stock.
Right. Okay, so he's getting his first paycheck?
Yeah.
What is it going to be for? Like $8,000?
A little more. Tesla confirmed last week that Elon reached his first milestone for the compensation plan from his 2018 CEO Performance Award Plan. So Tesla reached $100 billion in market capitalization and a revenue-based operational milestone. This is the first of a possible 12 tranches. Elon will now receive 1.7 million shares of Tesla stock at $350 exercise price, which as of Friday's close would be worth $1.4 billion, minus the cost of exercising those options, which would be $595 million. So that's, at Friday's prices, $805 million.
Okay.
But keep in mind, Elon has to hold those shares for 5 years minimum.
So let's just kind of explain stock options here for a minute. Stock options are a thing that you can do when you're a company to offer an incentive to your employees that isn't just money,
right?
Because sometimes money is hard to come by.
Right.
So a lot of startups will do this where they'll offer you stock options, and it doesn't mean that they're just giving you stock.
Right.
they give you the option to buy stock at a certain strike price.
Exactly.
And so in this case, he is able to buy stock at $350 a share.
Right.
Even though the stock is currently valued at well over that.
Yes. And by the time he actually sells them, if he ever does, could be worth well over that.
Oh, so he has to hold on to the stock for 5 years.
Yes.
Wow.
So, I mean, don't think that he's just going to go dumping, 1.7 million shares into the market. He has to hold them. And so for all of you people out there like, he just made $800 million. Well, in stock he did, but it's not in cash.
Right. And he has to hold it for 5 years. But he could borrow against it.
He could.
And then leverage other stuff for it. Okay, well, that's pretty interesting. Man, if only when we bought stock, we had to hold it for 5 years. I feel like a lot of people would pay more just if they, okay, don't let me sell this for 5 years, please.
Whatever I do, whatever I tell you.
I know I'm going to come to your house.
Locked up.
I'm going to come and I'm going to say,
dude, can I sell the stock now, please?
No, I'm
please,
sorry,
man. I know
sir,
what I
it's in
said
your
yesterday,
contract.
but please, I need to sell it. Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind, he hasn't been paid up until this point. So he's been working his butt off for over a dozen years, and he hasn't gotten any money. So the Japanese automaker Nissan released its 4-year growth plan last week, and they said they would be right-sizing their production capacity and streamlining unprofitable parts of the business.
All right, so let me just translate this for you out of jargon business speak. Right-sizing probably means downsizing.
Yep, they're closing 2 factories.
So they're downsizing their production capacity, and then streamlining means just getting rid of unprofitable parts of
firing
the business.
people.
Yeah, they're going to be firing a lot of people. Now, you might be asking why? Why would they be doing this?
They're losing money hand over fist.
Right, and why is that?
Because nobody wants what they're selling.
Right, nobody wants cars anymore.
Right, and especially these cars. So, I mean, they announced they'll be investing mainly in sports cars and EVs. And they announced the introduction of the Aria EV in the US, which will come out in 2021, and that by 2023, Nissan will launch 8 pure EVs and expand its e-Power hybrids. So they said by the end of the fiscal year 2023, we forecast electrified vehicles to account for 60% of our sales in Japan, 23% in China, 50% in Europe, resulting in sales of more than 1 million.
They're missing a whole continent there.
Yeah, they didn't mention the United States.
But why?
I think because it's probably a tiny number. So only 2 of Nissan's 7 EVs, the Aria and the Leaf, will be sold in the US in the short term. And Nissan's restructuring plans call for closing 2 of its manufacturing facilities, reducing its global portfolio from 69 to 55 models, and introducing new SUVs and pickup trucks in North America.
Oh, so that's why they didn't talk about EVs in North America. It's because they just want to make more pickup trucks and SUVs.
Now, if you're wondering about the Aria, because this is one of the first times we've seen it other than a concept vehicle, it's an all-wheel drive CUV that will arrive in Japan first in 2021 before being released in the US and Europe. The range is supposed to be around 300 miles, and it's expected to be unveiled with the production version in July.
I'm excited to see it. I mean, keep in mind the Nissan Leaf has been, the backbone of the EV market.
The funny thing is, though, in their latest promotional videos, the Leaf is nowhere to be seen. So, I mean, they built up this brand, and then basically I think they're dropping it.
Yeah, I mean, the Leaf has always been this weird niche thing for Nissan. It's always been this compliance car. First, it started off as a compliance car. There's no argument about that. They had you'd grow a tree as you drove. They had a little treeometer on the front dash. And I remember when I bought my Nissan Leaf, the car dealer had no idea what it was. So I was driving along. And I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And she was just like, "Oh, I don't know what that is." I'm like, It's making a weird shape. What's happening? And she, I don't know. I have no idea. And that was kind of the epitome of how Nissan treated the Leaf. It was just this like, okay, you seem to be a wacko hippie. We've got the car for you. Why don't you buy it in these select states? Then they kind of expanded it, and now it seems like they're just going to drop it.
Yep.
Great.
You got it. Tesla Time News is sponsored by Cybertruck Owners Club. There you'll find a crowdsourced reservation tracker that you can update. Check out their website for Cybertruck news, discussions, and community for Cybertruck enthusiasts and future owners. And, Jesse, check this out. A 3D configurator allowing you to visualize the Cybertruck in any color, wrap, and logo, both on screen and in augmented reality. So you can put this thing in your garage if you want to.
Cool. So if you have a friend who runs a business and you think they could use a Cybertruck, you can actually send them a render of their business logo or whatever covering the truck.
Exactly.
Very cool.
It is cool. So should Tesla advertise?
San Diego-based Tesla shareholder James M. Danforth is proposing for Tesla to start advertising.
Tesla should spend at least $50 a car produced to advertise its products' services in order to increase brand and product awareness and interest, achieve other goals set forth in the supporting statement below, and to help mitigate and/or reduce harm to Tesla's goals, objectives, reputation, and finances. Advertising became necessary the moment Tesla announced in Q1 19 that it would shut down retail stores and start focusing solely on website-based sales instead. Tesla is in the enviable position of being able to generate advertising ROI from 4 sources, which are: first, it's self-evident that advertising can increase brand value, product awareness, and interest. Second, Tesla ads can help mitigate and dilute substantial FUD, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and misinformation campaigns sponsored by competitors and detractors worldwide, and steer the narrative more favorably. Third, impacts caused by less public visibility due to retail store closings announced in Q1 19 can be explained and softened by ads. And finally, Tesla ads will, by their very nature, increase knowledge and support for climate damage avoidance worldwide. This is a core desire of Tesla and a key driver of better company results too.
So this is kind of an interesting suggestion. A lot of people have been talking about advertising since years and years and years ago. They were like, man, we should have a Super Bowl ad for the Tesla Model S and Model X. It's going to be great. You know, we'll get Robert Downey Jr. and he's going to be Iron Man. He's going to walk out of the car. It's a great idea. But the thing is, Tesla hasn't needed advertising this entire time, right, as evidenced by the point that it hasn't had any advertising for this entire time and is where it is in the world today.
Now, I think another argument here, though, is that Danforth talks about Tesla should spend about $50 per car, at least. And if you do the math, that would be about $18 million in 2019. And $18 million might sound like a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But let's put it in perspective.
Sure.
GM in 2019 spent how much?
3.4 million.
Billion.
Billion.
Yeah.
Billion dollars.
GM spent $3.4 billion on advertising. Ford spent $2.3 billion. So if you want Tesla to spend $18 million, here's what it's going to look like. GM and Ford ads, you see them everywhere. Billboards, magazines, television,
radio. And they're not amazing. Like, can we just point that out? Like, you've never seen like a
no.
Like, there aren't that many GM and Ford ads where you're just like, wow,
no,
amazing. You know,
right.
Here is the Ford Focus blah, blah, blah. You're going to enjoy driving this car.
Exactly.
So Tesla's advertising budget of an order of magnitude less than that, times 2
would get you, a couple billboards and maybe a couple TV spots on a couple lame shows.
Right.
Like, it's not going to get you anywhere.
And we haven't even talked about the filming of the
right.
of this stuff.
Oh, that's a really good point. I mean, you have to get actors and directors and film crew just to film these ads.
Which does bring up the point that Tesla does have a marketing budget.
Yes.
A lot of the Tesla footage that we use comes from Tesla. So right. Tesla did spend a lot of money to have nice footage. And the cool part is they didn't have to then spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on top of that to get it placed in certain places.
We just did it for them. I mean,
exactly.
We just played their ad.
And that's the thing. Whenever Tesla is in the news has to show something on the screen because right. Otherwise it would just be 2 people talking or one person talking or whatever. I mean, and that wouldn't be interesting. So they use the B-roll.
Exactly. I mean, look at the Cybertruck unveiling in November. I mean, every news outlet in the world covered it ad nauseum, right. And that was free advertising.
And anytime Tesla's in the news, which is quite often because it's an interesting news story and people like to cover it and talk about it and tell the world how awful it is, they have to play something, and so they play the marketing footage, which Tesla made. And I think that was such a smart business decision to make that. I'm glad that they have a marketing budget, but again, for the advertisement, $18 million just isn't going to buy you enough.
And I guess I'd also like to point out that not every product in the world is advertised. When's the last time you saw an ad for broccoli? We all eat it. I've never seen an ad for it.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? I mean, you don't need to advertise everything. So the only reason you have to advertise GM and Ford is because I really think if you stop spending those billions of dollars, they probably stop selling cars altogether.
Right.
Whereas Tesla, which doesn't spend a penny, is selling more than it can make.
Right. And I mean, let's just talk about if Tesla had to spend, let's just say even $1 billion a year, they do not have the budget for that. They're taking what would be that budget and they're pouring it into R&D.
Exactly.
And that's the reason they have the lead that they do, is because they're not wasting energy trying to
go pick up the Tesla Model 3 today. It's blah, 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 blah. 0% APR financing for the first 3 months.
Like, there's none of that. kind of stuff. It's just, hey, here's the car. You can buy it online, and this isn't an advertisement. This is this is your friend telling you about it.
I mean, look at Leno's Garage, which we're going to talk about later on the show. I mean, millions of people are watching that. It's a huge 9-minute advertisement for Tesla, and they have to drop a penny on that. And the shareholder meeting is coming up July 7th, and Tesla's board says the board has considered this proposal and has determined that it would not serve the best interests of Tesla or our shareholders. While we welcome shareholder feedback, we also believe we have an experienced management team that is best situated to determine Tesla's day-to-day business operations, including our sales and marketing practices and expenditures. Moreover, the proponent's key premise is based on an apparent misunderstanding of Tesla's retail operations. Specifically, Tesla has made clear in statements since the first quarter of 2019 that we frequently optimize our retail operations, which means both closing or downsizing locations with underperforming foot traffic or sales throughput, as well as adding locations in our target markets with high foot traffic. As a result, our net store count remains stable across 2019.
Right, and that's an excellent point as well, is that, at the beginning of 2019, it sounded like all the stores were going to close. And it was a big shock to everyone. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, they're going to close all the stores. And then Tesla pretty much walked it back. They were like, actually that isn't the best strategy.
Right.
And I don't think that it was the best idea to close all the stores either.
Right.
So they totally walked it back, which means that advertising is no longer really needed. You have the stores, you have the word of mouth, which has been continuous through Tesla's life, that you've had this word of mouth.
Yeah, I mean, Cybertruck gets announced, and we've got over 600,000 people who put down money for the truck.
Right, and that's just the beginning. That's before they're out on the road.
Yeah,
and the same thing with the Model 3. People were worried that there are only 250,000 reservations for the Model 3, and they've had no trouble selling them since it came out. So that should tell you something. When people see the car and they go, oh, how fast can it go? Oh, it's the safest car in the world? Oh, you just charge it at your house? Oh, it would save me that much money in gas? People, by and large, are just like, I want one. Whether or not they can afford it is another question.
So it's time for full-on James Bond, Jess.
The Jay Leno's Garage episode is out, and Elon said in that episode that the Tesla Roadster is like full-on James Bond.
And what's he talking about here?
He's talking about rocket thrusters, baby.
Yeah, Elon said, we are going to use ultra-high pressure compressed air. It's a cold gas thruster. The main thruster will be like behind the license plate. So for acceleration, it drops the license plate. And behind the license plate is a rocket thruster.
And keep in mind that the base model, the one without the rocket thrusters, will already go 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds.
So we've been talking about this for a long time. Where are these rocket thrusters going to go? And there's been all this conjecture. They'll go under the car and make it float up.
They'll go on top of the car and push it down. There'll be special things to pull the car down using Bernoulli's principle.
Right. And all these things could be true, but at least we know where one of them will go, behind the license plate.
And I mean, you got to remember, I think a lot of people forgot that when the Roadster was unveiled, he said that there would be 10 rocket thrusters.
So we know where one of them goes.
At least one of them. There could be 2 behind there.
Could be.
And so, I mean, this is going to be revolutionary. We have not had a car. We've had cars with rockets on them before. We've all seen Mythbusters. Mm-hmm. But this is not a rocket. This is a high-pressure compressed air thruster that is going to be electrically repumped, so that way you get to go again and again and again. This is, and keep in mind, he's only talked about the thruster going out the back.
Right. There are going to be other thrusters. We know that.
There's going to be one on the front to help with braking.
Maybe.
Maybe. There can be some on the side to help with, actual turning and keeping the car from skidding. There's going to be a lot of crazy stuff that this car can do.
You might be asking, how could the license plate fold down? Don't you need your license plate on roads? You're not going to be able to use, in my opinion.
Where we're going, we don't need roads. I mean,
I don't think you can use the rocket thrusters on, that it's street legal that way. And so that's why I think the license plate can fold down, because you'll have to do this on private property.
Right. Which you wouldn't want to do it on public property anyway, because you'd be breaking
so many laws.
I'm sure you're going to be breaking so many laws.
Although there are no acceleration laws that I know of.
There are.
Really?
Yes. You're not supposed to accelerate, but they're mostly aimed around drag racing and burnouts.
Okay.
So you're not supposed to do those 2 things, obviously, on the street. Those aren't
There's specifically
acceptable.
laws that say that?
I think they're pretty vague, but the interpretation has been. I'm not a lawyer, so
right.
don't take anything I say seriously. I just think that this is really important, and that Elon hasn't said a very, very, very important number, which is what the 0 to 60 time of the rocket-propelled car could be.
Right, because normally you're limited by the friction between the tires and the road. And once you
Yes.
get to around 1.9 seconds, that's about the virtual limit of most tires.
For road tires.
Unless they're made out of Velcro.
Well, unless
So-
they're really big,
Right.
really sticky,
Right.
which is illegal, and really no ridges.
But once you start having a thruster, the tires don't matter anymore.
exactly, that's
It's a
why-
rocket.
Right, you can take a plane off of a conveyor belt going the same speed backwards that the plane needs to take off because the wheels just roll.
Right.
So when you have actual thrust, no car has had actual, real, true thrust coming out the
And
back of it.
think about if Porsche or some other company wanted to try and do this themselves, they'd have to start a rocket company to learn about this. And he's got a rocket company.
Right, because the the funny part is the Dragon capsule has cold air thrusters on it.
Yeah.
So they've already used
Already
them
figured it out.
in space, and now they're just going to be like, take the put it right on there.
Yep.
That is the amazing part about Elon Musk, and it's just like marrying rocket technology with car technology. That's how you get the Cybertruck. That's how you get the Roadster.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this car, and I can't wait to know how fast it's going to go because it's going to blow the pants off every other car on the road that's ever existed on the road.
So Jump was an electric bike sharing company that was bought by Uber in 2018. You remember those e-bikes that you could get on the street and
Yes.
put in your credit card, rent them for an hour or two, get around town. So the deal turned out to be unprofitable for Uber. So what did they do?
They sold all the bikes to another ride-sharing company thing.
They crushed them. Jump had claimed that older models were being retired, but now new photos and videos show them being destroyed by a giant claw and thrown into dumpsters. And you might be saying, well, that's just a few of them, right? No, that's 30 semi-trucks full. An Uber spokesperson says, we explored donating the remaining older model bikes, but given many significant issues, including maintenance, liability, safety concerns, and a lack of consumer-grade charging equipment, we decided the best approach was to responsibly recycle them.
So
Which-
by responsive, so just again to translate, responsibly recycle means
Throw them away.
throw them away without any regard for anything.
I mean, they did take out the battery packs, but yeah, look at all those perfectly good tires and wheels and seats and frames.
chains and
right.
pedals and so
Motors.
They had thought of donating them, and then
But-
they were like,
So we did the math, and if we were to donate all the bikes, then no one would need any more bikes because we have so many bikes,
and if we donated them, no one would need to rent bikes anymore, and the e-scooter market would dry up. So what we've proposed is to destroy them all.
Uber said that they were unprofitable. Sure. In 2018, that they only give themselves like a year to be profitable. It takes time for people to learn about your product and to start using it. So, yeah, you were unprofitable. Don't just throw it away. I mean, what? Yeah, it also comes down to this thing where the styling every year it seems like, oh, you know what? Red, not in anymore for e-bikes. We've got to go with a different color.
And this whole idea
What?
of like, we couldn't donate them because they might be damaged. It's like then get 5 guys to
Right.
go through, look at the bikes. Maybe they have a couple wrenches.
No,
they're fixing stuff up.
It's
and
BS because you just
awful.
get whoever you're going to donate them to, have them sign a waiver and say, don't sue us when, something goes wrong.
Right.
I mean, how many schools could have used these bikes?
Exactly.
How many communities? Like, ridiculous. Hey, this is cool. We got a reporter out in the field.
Let's check it out. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Today we're going to be interviewing Blake Fuller from Electric Performance. Let's go talk to him now. All right, so I'm here with Blake Fuller. We are down in North Carolina. And Blake, we've been doing some testing. What kind of testing have we been doing?
A whole lot of shenanigans. Yeah, actually, all the things that we really need to know relative to getting confidence not only in the chassis, but also with the thermal limits for Pike's Peak. Because one of the biggest challenges with going up Pike's Peak is you're climbing this mountain. And they've done a lot of improvements with the Model 3, but there's not a lot in the community out there that have said, okay, how far can you stretch those limits before the car tells you, oh, that's it, I've had enough.
And so one of the points is that the limits are so far especially with track mode, that you don't even have to worry about it as much. And that's why there probably isn't so much materials, because you're never going to hit that wall like you did in the Model S.
Exactly. And one of those things too is it's absolutely impossible to try to replicate what we did. I don't want to say impossible, but it's very difficult on the street legally to do what we did today. So one of the things that was really exciting about today is we used the whole front straight here, which is about, I believe, about a half mile long. So it allowed us to be able to get up in excess of 110 miles an hour and then rely just on the regenerative braking using the new track mode to ramp up that regen so that we could actually start to push the entire system to see, hopefully, if it would give up the ghost, so to speak, and just quit.
And so the testing went really well in the fact that it didn't give up quite as much, or hardly at all, compared to the Model S. How confident are you that you could break your Model S time on Pikes Peak?
Yeah, based just on the thermal testing, this is a much better package. It should absolutely be able to beat the record. Again, there's always weather and other things, but from a standpoint of drivetrain, we brought this down well below 20% state of charge today. We were running quarter mile times in the low 12s. So that's just incredibly impressive. We went back and forth on the straight over 100 times. And, forget the Taken, forget anything else that's in the market. Right now, this thermally is the best package that's out there, just out of the box.
Well, that's fantastic. So Pikes Peak is going to be very, very interesting, to say the least, especially based off of the testing just that we did today.
Yeah, and I have to thank the Tesla engineers because they've saved us a lot of time. I mean, in my to-do list was attacking the thermal. So do we need to add additional cooling? Do we need to have extra fans, different types of basically fluids? How experimental do we need to get? And what's nice is that from what we saw today, now keep in mind, it wasn't 100 degrees out. It was in the mid 80s and we weren't going uphill. But that being said, the car is actually still going to get lighter than this in stock form. And I'm feeling very, very comfortable that the engineers have done a great job. The other great thing is that with track mode, the things that generate heat are more acceleration, but also more regen. I can go in and actually change the regen, not only the amount, but front versus rear. Because if you look at track mode, you can change front and rear bias. We could actually use that. So this is gonna be part of the fun part of testing, is as opposed to having to mechanically get out and change the radiator or change the cooling fans, we're gonna be able to use software and use the data that we're gathering to be able to engineer the car for hopefully the right setup on race day.
Awesome. And the other thing I want to point out too is the support that we've gotten from our community right here on display on the side of the car, and without whom we wouldn't be here. Let's be honest about that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, everybody, because it's not inexpensive to run a race car. Tires, brakes, everything we're doing, all of that, every bit that people are donating towards is going towards the cause. And because of everything going on right now, there are not traditional sponsors. So you guys are the sponsors. You are the owners of this program, and we're out there to make history for you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Blake. This has been just a wonderful experience. We've done so much awesome testing, and there's definitely going to be more testing and more excitement. Where can we find more exciting content?
Yeah, so the Electric Performance channel, check that out. My Patreon is Blake Fuller, so Patreon.com/Blake Fuller. That's where you're not only going to be able to support the car in unique ways and get your name on the car in unique areas, but you'll also be able to get additional content. There is so much cool stuff that we captured. I mean, almost running you guys over with drifting. It was good enough. Anyways, you'll have to check it out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Back to you, Zach and Jesse. Now you know.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we were testing out the electric performance race car over at Out of Spec Motoring in North Carolina, and I just want to thank Kyle so much.
Yeah, he and his team were fantastic hosts.
Yes, we got so much important testing out of the way, and
also you strapped me into a car out the back with my feet tied up in the safety belt. So thank you for that.
It was worth it. It was worth it. And if you want to see more, head over to the Electric Performance channel.
Oh, and also in our Patreon bonus stories today, we're going to be showing you some cool footage that we just shot.
Right. And if you want to get your name in the car, there are not a lot of spots left.
No.
You head over to electricperformance.tv and you can put your name on the car and help support us get to the starting line of Pikes Peak, so that way you can see your name cross the finish line.
So in April of 2019, Tesla only sold 236 cars in South Korea.
If you remember, South Korea used to have this stupid rule. If you wanted to get the EV incentive, your EV would have to be able to fully charge by plugging it into a regular household wall outlet in under 10 hours.
Now, luckily that rule has been changed, and so now South Korean buyers can buy a Model 3 for about $26,000 with incentives.
Wow.
They get about $21,000 in incentives to buy the EV. So let's jump forward now to 2020, and Tesla has sold 4,075 cars, while domestic South Korean automakers have sold 10,161. So do the math, that's about a 40% market share for Tesla. Now, the Korean Automobile Manufacturers Association and the Korean Automobile Importers and Distributors Association are reporting a 40% increase in EV sales in Q1 of 2020.
But you just said that the Tesla sales accounted for 40% of the
that's,
sales.
That's the increase.
So the 40% increase in EVs is Model 3 sales.
Yes. I mean, Tesla is the leading passenger electric car sold in South Korea. Meanwhile, Nissan sales have plummeted 60%. BMW only delivered 53 electric cars. Mercedes-Benz only delivered 23 electric cars. And Jaguar only sold 14 electric cars in South Korea. So according to local South Korean media, Tesla has fully infiltrated the South Korean market.
Last week, Mercedes-Benz launched its electric EQV minivan in Europe for 71,388 euros, or $79,000, including a 19% value-added tax.
Now, these are built in Spain, and this can either be a 6, 7, or 8-seater, depending on how you get it outfitted. It's front-wheel drive, and it will have a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack, 90% of which is usable, with a WLTP range of 450 kilometers or 250 miles.
Now, keep in mind, WLTP is not a real-world range. It's probably going to be somewhere in the 210 to 220 mile range. Still pretty darn good.
Yep.
It'll have 11 kilowatts of AC charging and 50 kilowatts DC fast charging with a 110 fast DC charger option for 10 to 80% charging in 45 minutes.
So it'll have one motor, 150 kilowatts, which is about 204 horsepower peak output, and a top speed of 160 kilometers an hour or 99 miles an hour. So I think this is great to have a electric minivan, and I think it'll be great for certain uses. I'm just a little worried about the price.
The price is a little high. Teslas do sell for a little bit more in Europe, so electric cars on a whole, this is kind of the range that we're looking for, especially for something that isn't just like a passenger car. I think that there could be opportunities for businesses to buy and convert these into what they want, into take the seats out, and now it's a pretty darn good van.
Yeah, except that Mercedes is going to be making an electric Sprinter van. So, I mean, I feel like this is just kind of an airport mover, hotel people mover vehicle. And, well, let's hope that it sells better than the EQC.
So there were 397 EQCs sold in all of 2019 and 276 units sold this year.
Wait, in the U.S.?
That is in Germany. So that is 673 sales in Germany in 2019 for the amount of 2020 that we have survived through.
The Mercedes EQC
Yes.
only sold 673 units in Germany. But, I mean, during that same time, the Model 3 sold 8,700 units in Germany.
Yes. So that is more than an order of magnitude more just Model 3s that Tesla sold in Germany during the same period.
Wait till the Model Y is available in Germany.
Yes, because, the Model 3 isn't even in the same class. Daimler executives have called the EQC a Rokapeta, or a squib load, or a non-starter. So basically, this is ridiculous. This thing sucks. And they called its sales figures a total disaster, according to Handelsblatt.
Wait a minute. These are Daimler executives who said this?
Yes. So they did not like this vehicle and how poorly it is selling. And the thing is, I don't know why it's selling so poorly. I mean, the Audi e-tron has sold more than the EQC.
Mm-hmm.
Its stats aren't significantly better than the EQC. There's no real reason that it would sell so poorly. Even the Jaguar I-Pace sold more. I just don't get why this once Tesla Killer is doing so poorly. And it does make me worry about the EQV, the minivan we just talked about, because it's like, I don't know, maybe they've just done such a terrible job at advertising and branding it.
Yeah.
Which, again, comes back to when we were talking about Tesla and advertising. Tesla didn't advertise any of their products.
But wait a minute, you just said it was supposed to be a Tesla killer. What do you mean by that?
You don't remember that people had called it the Tesla Killer? This was going to come in and steal all of the Tesla Model X sales and Model 3 sales. Like, they were just like, oh, why would you like,
Whoa, Tesla's going to go under because of all this competition.
and this is the competition?
Yeah.
Yikes. And do you remember what we said back then? How we said it's not even going to be comparable. Tesla's going to trounce the EQC sales. And I don't know how we were so right, but we were. Like, it's just insane. I didn't expect or even want me to be so right.
Do you want a pat on the back?
No, it's scary.
So, Ohio unanimously approved the Icebreaker Wind Farm, North America's first offshore freshwater project.
So, offshore freshwater, so it's in a Great Lake?
Yeah, very good. It's in Lake Erie, which is right near Cleveland. The big hitch here, though, is that it can't operate between March through October because the American Bird Conservancy and the Black Swamp Bird Observatory said it could harm birds and bats. So it has to shut down during all those months.
March through October?
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge portion of the year.
Yeah, windy months, too.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
You know what else hurts birds and bats? Coal power plants. And do you know who else was against this plan?
Coal?
Yep, the now bankrupt Murray Energy Corporation. Remember we talked about them before?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're against it.
So it's because they care about birds?
No, they care about coal, and they know that wind energy would be a competitor to them.
Okay.
But I
So-
want you to keep in mind like what this project is.
Uh-huh.
It's 8 to 10 miles offshore, so you're not going to see it. And it would produce a lot of energy, 75 gigawatt hours a year.
Wow. Okay, so 8 to 10 miles offshore. Do bats fly that far offshore into a lake?
I've never seen it. I don't know.
I mean, I don't go boating on Lake Erie, so sure, I don't know. So, okay, so this must be like thousands of turbines. Like, it must be that once you get 8 to 10 miles off the shore of Lake Erie, it's just turbines for as far as the eye can see, and that any flock of birds flying through there, it's just like, you know, a bomber pilot from World War II, just like... And you're just like, oh, sir, we're going boom! Like, is it that bad?
Let me look it up.
Okay.
It's just 6 turbines.
It's 6 wind turbines.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're worried about the birds.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can see that. Yeah, sure. Wind turbines, you got big fan blades. They don't have any protection around them, so of course birds are going to fly right through there, get chopped up into tiny little bits, right?
Do you know what else kills birds and bats?
Some kind of ear mite.
Yeah, that's true. They do. But I'm talking about like cats, buildings, windows. Those 3 things kill more birds and bats than all the wind turbines in the world. Well, in fact, cats kill more birds than all of those things combined.
Cats.
Cats.
We're talking about like lions and tigers here?
No, just,
House cats.
house cats.
So if you own a cat, you're actually doing more harm to
Yeah.
birds than if you owned a wind turbine.
Exactly.
So I could, instead of owning a cat, build a wind turbine, generate megawatts of energy, and never once get cat hair on anything.
You got it.
And the number of birds that I would kill, maybe once or twice a year, it would kill a bird.
Right.
Way less frequently
Yes.
than if I owned a cat.
Right. That's how dumb we are. So Tesla's going to sell Model 3s with the LFP battery in China.
What's an LFP battery?
Well, that stands for lithium phosphate. And those are batteries that are different battery chemistry than the lithium-ion batteries that Tesla currently uses. So in this case, there's no cobalt, and it has a lower energy density.
Oh, so then why would anyone want this?
Well, Tesla applied with the China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology for approval of the new Model 3 equipped with the LFP battery, and the specs of the Model 3 haven't changed. The LFP batteries are somewhat safer, so that's one reason. And so, the only thing I can guess here would be that maybe this is going to lower the cost of the battery.
Or just allow Tesla to make more lithium-ion batteries, or, well, make the same number of lithium-ion batteries, but make more cars.
Right.
Because now you're using all these cells that, no one was using anyway. But this would explain that Reuters story that appeared earlier in May. pointing to Tesla producing the million-mile battery in China.
Yeah, with CATL.
Right. But it seems like they just kind of conflated million-mile battery and CATL they're making the million-mile battery when it turns out, no, they're making a lithium phosphate battery.
I don't think this is the million-mile battery.
Right.
I think this is a older technology battery. I think that my big question is, how are Model 3 buyers in China going to feel about buying a car with what might be considered
an inferior
technology?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best move for Tesla. We talked a little while ago about how mad Chinese Model 3 buyers were when they found out that they weren't getting the hardware 3 computers installed in their cars, even though they didn't buy full self-driving. There's this high aversion to companies that put lower, inferior quality products out on the Chinese market just because they are allowed to.
Right.
Now, one thing that Tesla might do would be to sell these cars for less money, and that you could buy the regular lithium-ion car for more, and that this could allow them to drastically reduce the price of the Model 3 in China, which again is a enormous market.
Right.
It's the biggest car market in the world.
Yep.
I think that when a lot of people think of China, they think of China maybe 10, 20 years ago when it was not the biggest car market in the world. It is. So anything Tesla can do to get a foothold in that market is going to be crucial.
All right, it's time for our video contributor stories, and this is sponsored by GoPuck, which is a fantastic battery bank that you can use when you're out and about needing to charge up your phone or your camera. So you can find a referral link and discount code down in the show notes. So who do we got this week, Jess?
We've got Frederick with a wooden windmill tower.
Hello, Zach and Jesse. My name is Fredrik Lind. I'm standing here on an island, Björkö, outside of Gothenburg, Sweden, where they have built a wind turbine foundation, a tower out of wood. Why would you build that out of wood? Yeah, wood is carbon neutral. Wood is stronger than steel compared to its weight. And the cost. To build a tower in wood is about 40% cheaper than building one in steel. And you can build them in sections, which makes them easier to transport on roads. They are now planning to build towers even higher than 150 meters. That's what's happening in my neck of the woods. Back to you, second Jesse.
That's really interesting. Yeah, this is from a Swedish company called Modvion. We're going to be interviewing them this week, so we'll know more about them and get you some more information, because this is really cool. I never knew that you could put up a wind turbine with a wooden tower.
Cool. So yeah, maybe we can put one in the backyard, and when the town comes and is like, you can't put that up, we just say it's made out of wood. There's no rules saying you can't do that. There are rules.
All right, it's time for our Patreon bonus stories, and if you want to join us on those stories, you can just by becoming a Patreon for $1 a month, and we're going to be talking about a lot of cool things this week. One of them is our trip down to North Carolina that we just did, see the race car. We got lots of cool footage we're going to share with you guys first there, and a lot of other cool stories like Jay Leno's garage story with Elon, so go check them out. All right, we're back from the Patreon bonus stories. That was a long one. We got a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, you might notice that we're like tired. It's because we did like a whole other show for our patrons. You can go check it out at patreon.com. We can't do the show without our patrons.
Nope.
And that's why we thank our patrons.
All right, it's time to thank some people now. These are our patrons who support us at $5 or more a month. Who do we got?
We have Kiam,
Bartolomej Koropshinetsky,
Bryce Barbado,
Mark R.,
Jesse Barker,
Demetrius Hunter Jr.,
Daniel Hall,
Chris Leto,
DuPont 550,
The Kusumas,
Noel Vietmeyer,
Sean Brennan,
Stephen J. Lushbaugh,
and Raniel.
Thank you so much for supporting the show. We can't do it without you.
All right, it's time for Elon's Tweets of the Week. And he tweeted this out in response to Clean Technica's article about the #1 car in California being the Model 3.
That we talked about.
He said, worth noting that as of January 1st, Tesla buyers no longer received any federal tax credit. Model 3 led despite this disadvantage.
It's a very good point. All the other electric cars got pretty significant tax credits.
Right. So, I mean, that's level playing field there, folks. You want a Civic or you want a Model 3?
That's true.
And then Elon said, more superchargers coming soon. Everyday Astronaut said, Space Coast needs more. And Elon said, we slowed down a bit to allow Supercharger version 3 production to get going, but now we'll speed up.
Cool.
All right, it's time for Community Mail Time.
Community Mail Time.
And our friend Jonathan in Spain shared us this. He says, hi guys, me again. Jonathan from Barcelona and Patreon saw these 3 electric motorcycles together on the street representing the 3 largest service providers of electric moto sharing in Spain. The e-Cultra, the Yego, and the Acciona.
Yeah, he said the Acciona bike is made right here in Barcelona by Silence. First 2 have maximum speeds of 45 kilometers an hour, while the last one goes up to 80 kilometers an hour. All cost about 26 to 29 cents. Euro cents per minute and include helmets, basic insurance, and VAT. To save money, users can pre-purchase minutes to save up to 30%, find them in their respective app, and drop them off almost anywhere in the city where motorcycles can be parked. They can be found all over several major cities in Spain, Italy, and Portugal. They are super fun to drive, convenient, and cheaper and cleaner than a taxi. That's
so
cool.
Thank you so much, Jonathan.
All right, it's time for our on-air question. I thought this was really good. WD and Teach said, if you only had $7,000 to spend, would you buy full self-driving or Tesla stock?
Ooh.
This is a great question.
Doozy. Because,
so let me just walk through here.
Yeah.
So Tesla stock is about $8.35 a share right now. And I mean, I'm just going to wild a guess here that if you followed, say, ARK Invest, they're thinking the stock can hit, $4,000 a share in the next 5 or 10 years. So let's say it could be at, say, $2,000 in 2 years. Okay. So maybe double or triple in that time, to be fairly conservative, I think. And then meanwhile, Elon has said that he thinks when the cars fully get to full self-driving, he thinks they'll be valued at $100,000 just for the full self-driving part. Would $7,000 turn into $100,000 at that point? And when would that happen? Would that be in, say, 2 years? These are the things that are going through my mind.
Well, but you got to keep in mind that the car valued at $100,000, it's not that you could necessarily sell it for $100,000. It's that it would accumulate that $100,000 over the course of the life of the vehicle if you had put it onto the Tesla network and it was picking people up and dropping them off for money.
Maybe, but that also means that it's kind of worth that. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think that in terms of if you believe full self-driving is going to happen, then I think it would be better to spend the money on the full self-driving, especially if you had the car already.
Yeah, you'd have to have the car already because otherwise, yeah. But you know what? We should put it to our patrons.
Good idea.
We're going to have this poll come out later today, so if you want to check it out, you can head over to Patreon, support us for $2 or more a month, and you get access to all of our polls, including the Patreon bonus stories.
Yeah, we'll report on that next week.
And let's talk about the poll from last week.
Yeah, the question was Texas or Tulsa or Wichita or Mexico.
And so 2 people thought it was going to be in Wichita. Ouch. 19 people thought it was going to be in Tulsa, and 374 people thought that it was going to be in Texas.
Wow.
Now, Wichita actually got beaten by Mexico. Canada, they think that it might happen on a different coast of the U.S. 14 people said that it was going to happen somewhere in the middle of the United States.
Interesting.
That wasn't any of those places.
And we're going to have new polls this week on Patreon, so go check them out.
So Texas, it sounds like, is the general consensus of our patrons.
Seems like
But if you disagree, you can go and change it. Support us for $2 a month and head over there, and you can add your 2 cents.
All right, it's time for Supercharger reviews, and these are sponsored by our friends at Evannex, the Tesla community's accessory store. If you're looking for awesome accessories for your Tesla, then check out Evannex and use our discount code NowYouKnow to save you 10% on purchases over $100.
Hey Zach, hey Jesse, this is Justin. I'm in Franklin Park, Pennsylvania at Supercharger and at Sheets. There are 8 Superchargers here. This one's actually got quite a bit to do. You can at least go to Sheets, get some food made. This is a busier charger. Actually, everyone just left, so we're getting a good charge. And I'd probably give this a 7 out of 10, definitely because you have things to do here at Sheets and get to eat, and restroom breaks and Wi-Fi. And now you know.
How's it going? I am here now at Tinton Falls, New Jersey at the Jersey Shore Premium Outlet Supercharger. We have a 7-stall, 150 kilowatt charger. This charger does get full quite often, but usually there'll be 1 or 2 available. Right now, the mall is completely closed, but you were able to get into here from the entrance that's right next to it. So that's the only one you can do. And everywhere else, they have cones, so don't try and go over there. Right now, there's one other car here and one car pulling up now. I would say that this charger definitely gets I'd say 7 or 8 out of 10, just because the outlets are really good, I guess, while they're open. Now that happens to be closed. But other than that, you have all these chargers over here, and down a little bit further down there are also some other chargers. I think there might be ChargePoint, and I'll check those out after. So these are the other chargers that they have over there. They're actually EVgo, so it looks like they have 2 that are just the J plugs, and then 2 fast chargers, which I'm assuming have both the J plug and probably a CCS or CHAdeMO. Another thing also, which is weird, this is actually an 8-stall supercharger. If you look over here, and it's saying on the map that it's 7-stall. Kind of weird. I'm assuming one of them might be out of order, but it doesn't look like anything was actually taken out of order, or any signs or anything on any of them. Anyway, like I said, I would give this place a 7 or 8 out of 10. The shops are great over here. Really, it's, you have a food court, you have all the shops in the outlets, and great prices for shopping. So even if you don't need anything, it's nice to go walk around over there. Usually find some good deals. Other than that, that's pretty much it. And have a great day, guys. Now you know.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. This is Brian, and I'm at the White Hills, Arizona Tesla Supercharger. This Pilot Travel Center offers easy off, easy on the highway, air for your tires, a place to walk your dog, a Subway restaurant and convenience store, and public restrooms. This location is along US Highway 93 between Las Vegas, Nevada and Kingman, Arizona. Nearby attractions include the Hoover Dam and Willow Beach Marina on the Colorado River. The highway is also the future route of Interstate 11 between Las Vegas and Phoenix. There is abundant hydroelectric power in the area from the Hoover Dam and Davis Dam on the Colorado River. There are also several large-scale solar energy farms in the region. I like to think that we are supercharging from nearby renewable energy. I rate the White Hills, Arizona Supercharger a 9 out of 10. Thank you, and now you know.
Thank you so much for those Supercharger reviews. You know that you can head over to our website at nowyouknowchannel.com/supercharger reviews and enter your own video reviews there, which we love to have on the show.
And there are new superchargers in the world. So just in case you thought, well, I don't actually have to do a supercharger review because they've done them already. First of all, no. And second of all, no, because here are
there's
some more.
6 more locations. The first is an 8-stall, 250 kilowatt at St. Louis Park, Minnesota.
The 8-stall 250 kilowatt supercharger in Emporia, Kansas.
The 8-stall 250 kilowatt in Easton, Maryland.
The 4-stall 250 kilowatt in Fargo, North Dakota.
The 12-stall 250 kilowatt in Kelso, Washington.
And the 16-stall in Berkeley, California.
But it's actually in Richmond, but there's already one in Richmond, so I guess they called it Berkeley. Anyway, it's at 3288 Pierce Street in Richmond. Just in case you were wondering.
Just in case you were wondering. And time for the Patreon giveaway. This week we are giving away this Starman poster. And we're going to even sign it for you. So
we'll sign it on the back, though. We don't want to ruin the poster.
Yeah, we're not Starman.
And to get yourself into this big bucket of fun, become a Patreon. And the more you support us, the more chances you have to win. Who's going to win Starman?
Dan Haddix.
Dan, congratulations. You won a signed poster of Starman. You guys made it to the end of the show, and
thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, I want to talk about first of all, the electric performance race car still has some slots left on it, and we were just down there in North Carolina, and it is awesome, and it'll look so cool to have your name on a car. We've kind of got our name on it because it on the 2 tops of the windshield it says Now You Know Channel, which is really cool. But yeah, you can get your name on the car in a 3x3 square. So go check that out at electricperformance.tv. And a big shout out to Kyle and his crew at Out of Spec Motoring down in North Carolina, because they were so nice to us and let us do so much fun stuff. I mean, you got to strap me in a smart car backwards out the back of it so I could film the Model 3, and I trusted you.
Really good shots. And I trusted you to get some good shots. And hey, you pulled through. And I want to thank Kyle for taking us around in a multitude of different electric vehicles.
Oh, yeah, and we got to be on the Inside EVs podcast, which you can go check out on Inside EVs. So that was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Really great crew hanging out there. Huge shout out to Dave, because Dave is the fantastic Patreon awesome supporter who gave us the Model 3 to race up Pikes Peak. And huge shout out to Blake, who is risking his life to do that and to test it. I mean, he's testing it meticulously, putting all that footage for you to see on Electric Performance channel, which is kind of cool because he's giving you all the secrets. Like, if you ever wanted to be a race car driver and you're like, oh, what book would I get? Just go to Electric Performance. He's going to tell you how to turn a Model 3 Performance into a race car. And let's be honest here, it's one of the coolest, cheapest race cars you could get. Like, it used to be you'd have to spend like $500,000 to get a cool race car.
To do what this car can do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you got a supercar, basically. Like, I want to just redefine supercar. This thing's almost a supercar.
It's
really incredible.
It's really incredible. Well,
thank you so much for being our viewers. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It really makes a difference. Make sure you hit the bell button if you want a notification.
and hit the like button. Look at all these fun buttons you get to press.
fun to push buttons,
It's like
but they're all free to
It's like
push.
you're in a spaceship,
Yeah.
which you kind of are.
Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next week.
Now you know.